Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good afternoon and best wishes to all of us. Before we start, I would like to inform that today's agenda will be held in Zoom Cloud meetings. For all the audience in the Zoom Cloud meetings, please turn on your camera and turn off your microphone so the event shall run smoothly. Thank you. The Honorable, the Chairman of Yayasan Pengembangan Pendidikan Indonesia Jakarta, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Aris Setyanto Nugroho, MM IPU CMA MSS, Rector of Universitas Trilogi, Profesor Dr. Pramono Hari Adi MS, President of Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, Dr. Heri Subowo SEMPM, AKCA, CPA, CSFA, CIA AK, Vice Chancellor for Learning and Student Affairs at Universitas Trilogi, Dr. Anis Lastiati, SEAK MHRM, MED STCA, Vice Chancellor for Resources and Cooperation at Universitas Trilogi, Dr. Dendi Anggi Gumilang, SEMM, Dean Faculty of Economics, Business, and Humanities at Universitas Trilogi, Dr. Ati Herawati, Head of Accounting Studi Program at Universitas Trilogi, Mrs. Riopti, SEAK, MMCA, Certified IPSAS. Head of Management Program at Universitas Trilogi, Mrs. Fani Suzuda Pohan, the Honorable Rector, Deans, and Heads of Department from all of universities who joined as co-hosts at the first International and Fourth National Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing. Also representatives of the sponsors and the partners of the journal. The Honorable, our speakers for today, Chairperson Accounting Senior Lecturer, School of Management, University Sains Malaysia, Mr. Zubir Azhar, PhD, FCPA, CA, Research Professor, International Development Institute, Chungbuk National University, South Korea, Professor Matsugu Nemoto, Professor in AIS and Digital Innovation, Faculty of Economics Business at Universitas Pajajaran, Professor Dr. Rerpol Hamzah Richi CA, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, International Lecturer Senior Tunku Putri Intan Safina School of Accountancy, College of Business at University Utara Malaysia, Oluwatoyin Hughes Johnson Popola, JP PhD, MBA, PGDAF, HDIPL, RPA, member Insol International, IMM, CFA, FCTI, FCA.
And the Director of Finance PT Penjaminan Infrastruktur Indonesia Persero, Mr. Doni Hamdani, SEAK. And also our moderator for today, Dr. Anis Lastiati, SEAK, MHRM, MED, STCA. And to all of the call paper participants, high school, or vocational school teachers, and all participants that we cannot mention one by one. First of all, let us give praise to God Almighty. Because of His blessings, we can meet again in the second day of First International and Fourth National Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Salsa Bila Almas, and I will be the master of ceremony for this seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the First International and Fourth National Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing, with them, the new age of accountancy, to comply and beyond. The First International and Fourth National Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing was held in 2 days, on 1st and 2nd of February 2023. Which is consist of 2 sessions. There are panel sessions and parallel sessions. This afternoon, we are here to listen to the second panel session. This event is supported by 10 collegiates, which is incorporated as co-hosts. The collegiates are Universitas Kristen Duta Wacana, Universitas Surabaya, Institut Agama Islam Tazkiyah, Universitas Budi Luhur, Universitas Bayangkara Jakarta Raya, Universitas Trisakti, Universitas Pancasila, Universitas Tarumanagara, dan Universitas Esa Unggul. This event is also sponsored by Bank Indonesia, PT Angkasa Pura II, PT Indosat Urido Hutchison, PT Penjaminan Infrastruktur Indonesia, Klinik Akuntansi UMKM Trilogi, KAP Sriadi Eli Sugeng dan rekan, Sayur Box, and Wardah. This event is organized by the Accounting Studi Program of Universitas Trilogi and supported by the Accounting Student Association of Universitas Trilogi. The next agenda, there will be an opening speech by the Chairman of Yayasan Pengembangan Pendidikan Indonesia Jakarta, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Aris Setyanto Nugroho, MMIPU CMA MSS. To Profesor Dr. Insinyur Aris Setyanto Nugroho, the screen is yours.
Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Sorry, you are still in mute.
Hello, do you read me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to everybody. Distinguished speaker from overseas and from Indonesia, Professor Pramono, Director of Universitas Trilogi, and the committee of the International Conference, to Dr. Anis, to Opti, the organizing committee from the Accounting Department, University of Trilogi, and all the distinguished participants. If you are talking about business, you know that business doesn't function well without a consistent accounting team. Became a constant trigger for the accounting world to evolve. It's obvious that accounting profession is and should no longer intend to produce relevant, reliable, and timely financial report in accordance with generally accepted accounting standard, or to generate audit opinion as requested by investor, or to calculate tax to comply with the governance regulation. Accountants today are and have to play a significant roles in helping organizations by taking advantage of the latest technology, on top of digitizing financial accounting processes, taxation, corporate governance, and audit process. Moreover, corporate governance play more and more significant roles. It moves away from merely centered on the principle and mechanism of governance in terms of the ownership structure, organizational structure, and component, as well as the composition of the board and committee, to looking at how companies manage corporate risk, including the risk of technological progress. The good governance concept itself becoming more and more complex in accordance with the growth of innovative business processes, policies, laws, and regulation. Governance is not only focused on how manage relationship between principal and agent, as Jensen and Macklin mentioned before, but also include concern on environment and sustainability. The tax system must also be synergized as well with the current industrial or digitalized area. Tax accountant roles move forward, not only complying with various tax regulations, but also in supporting sustainability target in the accordance with ESG indicators. Accountant roles in public sector are also required not only to comply with the meeting public sector accounting standard, but also with the providing added value in fulfilling the interests of society and public stakeholders. I represent the YPPIJ Foundation. Using this conference can help so well. I strongly believe that it will not only support the three dharma of higher education in Universitas Trilogi, but also able to make a real contribution to improve the economy through the increasingly modern approach of accounting science. The gathering of scientists and speakers today, especially from various countries, with also various background, I believe will be a valuable moment for sharing experiences and knowledge. Your contribution to science, however small it might be, is a source of light for our life. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I would like to thank all those involved, the director and the staff, the organizing committee, the co-host, the sponsors, the journal partner, and of course, on all the distinguished speakers. And thank you as well to the participants who have participated in this conference. And with the word of Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I would like to commence this Accountant International Conference finally officially open. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Insinyur Ari Setianto Nugroho, for the opening speech. Ladies and gentlemen, before we entering the main event, please allow me to read our moderator's CV for today. Dr. Anis Lastiati, SEAK, MHRM, MED, STCA, is the Deputy Chancellor for Learning and Student Affairs and lecturer in the Universitas Trilogi Accounting Studi Program. Dr. Anis earned her doctorate degree in accounting science from Universitas of Indonesia, Master of Human Resources Management, MHRM, and Master of Educational Study from University of Newcastle, Australia, and Bachelor degree of Accounting from Universitas Padjadjaran, Bandung. Dr. Anis is currently the Deputy Chancellor for Learning and Student Affairs in Universitas Trilogi, Jakarta. She is also a faculty member in Accounting Program, Universitas Trilogi, Jakarta. Her areas of interest are corporate governance, management accounting, management control system, and behavioral accounting. Prior to that, Dr. Anis was also the academic director in STECPI, or Sekolah Tinggi Ekonomi Perbankan, in 2010. While before that, she joined IBM as a senior accountant after graduating from her bachelor's study. She holds a chartered accountant certificate. Her research papers are published in both international and national indexed Scopus and Cinta journals, as well as conference proceedings. All right, without any further ado, to Dr. Anis Lastiati, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Salsabila. Ladies and gentlemen, our honorable guest, Professor Ari Setianto Nugroho, Chairman of YPPIJ, Rector of Universitas Trilogi, Professor Pramono Hari Adi, MS, our honorable speakers, distinguished guests, fellow faculty members, and all of the seminar participants. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
It's my great pleasure to be able to welcome you all on the second day of the first NCAFA and fourth NCAFA of the new age of accountancy to comply and beyond. This afternoon, we will have 5 distinguished speakers. All of them are experts and proficient at their areas. We are very grateful to have them with us. First is Zubir Azhar, PhD, FCPA, CA, ACPA, Professor Matsatsugu Nemoto, Professor Dr. R. Paul Hamzah Richi, CA, Bapak Doni Hamdani, SAAK, Oluwatoyin Muse Johnson Popola, GP, PhD, MBA, PGDAF, H Diploma RPA, Member INSOL International, AMM, CFA, FCTA, FCA. Today's seminar will be divided in the first section. There will be 2 presenters. Bapak Zubir Azhar, PhD, who will talk about today's accounting education. And then Professor Namoto, who will discuss development on public sector accounting. After more or less 2 minutes Q&A session, we will continue to session 2 with three speakers. First, Professor discussing the latest version of accounting information system. And then Bapak Doni, who will, as practitioner, will talk about what we need from accounting profession. And the last, Dr. Popola, who will discuss the emergent move of corporate governance role. Let's start then with the first session with presentation from Dr. Zubir. Allow me first read Dr. Zubir's CV. Yeah. Dr. Zubir Azhar, PhD, FCPA, CA, ACPA, obtained his Doctor of Philosophy from the University of Manchester in England, UK, and got his CPA from Australia, from Deakin University in Melbourne, Australia. His master degree is from the University of Technology Mara, Shah Alam, Malaysia, with distinction award. And then employment from August 2022 until present. Bapak Zubir Azhar is a visiting professor at the UST AMV College of Accountancy, University of Santo Tomas, Manila, the Philippines. And from January 2022 to present, he is the accounting chairperson for the School of Management, University Science of Malaysia. He obtained some honors and awards as Associate Director, appointed as an Associate Director for Asia Pacific Management Accounting Association, and visiting professor lecturer in University of Santo Tomas. Without no further ado, Dr. Zubir, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anis Lastiati, for the introduction. All right, allow me to share my screen. Right. Hopefully it is appearing on everyone's screen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good afternoon to all of you. I'm very honored to be invited to come to this conference to share some insights about accounting education. I'm delighted to be presented before Bapak Professor Dr. Insinyur Aris Setyanto Nugroho, and also other fellow speakers, the committee members of the conference, the faculty members of University Trilogi, and also other participants of this conference. Thank you very much for inviting me and for listening to this presentation. The topic that I'm going to discuss today is mainly on the accounting talents, mainly on the education part. So how to educate new accounting talents and what sort of curriculum that is required for the accounting talents or accounting students to immerse themselves once they're ready to be employed. So we have been talking a lot about the accounting education, but often we have been neglecting about the quality of accounting education. So what is accounting education in terms of the quality? In general, the quality in higher education has gained increasing attention from international, the interest that they have, for many, many years. And recently we have been encountering with COVID-19, and the quality has been claimed to have reduced. So we have heard loud calls for quality in curriculum, design, and also student learning outcomes, as well as the increased accountability for performance from key stakeholders over these years, haven't we? So we have been hearing complaints about education system that we have is not really helpful in terms of preparing our graduates to secure the right job markets and also to contribute to the national economy of the respective countries. At the same time, the globalization of higher education has led to increasing diverse student cohorts in accounting. And in some countries, student numbers have increased significantly. These also contribute to the quality of accounting education that we have. So there come some calls and also claims that competencies of our accounting students are not up to standard. They only memorize the lessons learned in the classrooms. They cannot apply the knowledge that they have gained when they join the industry. So accounting students' competencies to understand, process, and disseminate accounting information in order to make appropriate economic decisions have been put in question. We have seen a lot of characteristics highlighted by some scholars. For example, we have Madsen 2015 talking about the academic ability, soft skills, leadership ability. But still, we have the current generation are too much technological oriented, that the concepts and the fundamentals of accounting are not really into their hearts. So there come some questions further about whether or not our current content of accounting education is up to the standard, is preparing the students for the right job market. And is the current content of accounting education, which is claimed by many to have remained substantially the same over the past years, adequate for the future accounting professionals? We are talking about preparing accounting talents to become professionals in the job market. So I believe that the role played by accounting educators is very, very huge and very big in terms of making sure the quality of accounting education can be brought back and also enhanced from time to time. So we have heard about the accounting education being under attack. A lot of changes that happen around us contribute to all this question in terms of the technology and other business changes. So we have a lot of technologies every year, every month sometimes that we heard. These are the new technologies, these are the new inventions introduced. But are our students really read all these things? And we have the expensive tertiary professional education. If they go to the private universities, they end up paying huge amount of money. And that is also putting accounting education in question, whether or not the amount of money worth for the quality that they are getting. And I'm sure that in Malaysia, that we hear a lot of complaints of the accounting education, the graduates quality that we have is not really up to standard. Really is something that make us to consider how can we improve the accounting education further. We have been hearing that industry is claiming we have deteriorating candidates quality, but I don't believe in the comments totally. Of course, there are some complaints and we have different groups of accounting talents. Some are very good They are very active in the curriculum activities. They manage to understand the concepts learned in the classrooms, and some are doing really well when they join the job market. So I don't think this is supposed to be blanketed to everybody. We have to make sure that we categorize the students correctly. Those who are having first class really carry the first class quality, and the third class students really carry something that they bring with them. And we talk about the accounting education being the professional program. We need to make sure that we have the right competencies imparted upon them. There are 7 professional competencies that we normally hear. We have the typical skills, for example, the technical and ethical. Being accounting students, I think they need to be exposed to how to interpret, prepare accounts using some technical terminologies and also understanding. And this should not be, in separation with the ethical things that they need to learn in the classroom. So I suppose that the typical skills that we have, technical and ethical, should go together. And they should also have some intelligence in terms of processing the current condition for others to understand what is being said, what is the current situation that they need to deal with. And the current world that we are living in is full of digital and latest technologies. So it is something that our students should be able to process and also to portray that they have all the required skills needed for them. And over the years, I believe that they need to get experience. In the program of accountancy, I'm sure that many of the universities, they prepare students through some internship experience. This will make them to better prepare the job market that they're going to join later. So those are the typical skills that we have. At the same time, we cannot neglect the soft skills that our accounting students must possess. For example, they need to have creativity. So creativity in accounting is not for us to make them to become creative accountants. They manipulate the accounting information. That is not what we are preparing them for, but rather to make them be able to adapt with the situation as creative as possible. They need to also have some empathy upon others. This is a very important skill that they need, and we as educators need to develop among students. That is emotional intelligence. Because I suppose that, we have to prepare the accountants that will work in companies, and we don't want to train them to get other people's money for their benefits. So they need to have some sympathy and also care for others, especially when they are appointed to become accountants, and they need to safeguard the interests of the shareholders. And of course, the next soft skills that they should be possessing is the vision. They need to be forward-looking and able to predict, forecast things, which is one of the underlying attributes of being an accountant. So I have some good and example students that I would like to highlight here. This is a very good student of mine. I've been teaching her since the degree level. Charlotte. She completed her Bachelor of Accounting in 2019. And at the same time, when she was in her 3rd year, she started to do ACCA program, which she completed a few months after in 2020. And right after, she fell in love in accounting. And then she said that I wanted to prepare myself for a challenging future, which I might want to be having some extra qualification. So she enrolled into Master of Arts, University of Science Malaysia, and she graduated in 2020. She is one of the fastest and very dynamic students that I have ever met. And she's still in contact with me. And currently she's working with Ernst & Young, Penang, Malaysia. She got some job offers from Singapore and also the UK, but she refused because of the family reasons. And I suppose that accounting profession is experiencing a lot of changes. So they're changing very fast to, the level that we can't even imagine. Technology will enable near real-time reporting, support predictive versus retrospective analysis, and highlight links between financial and non-financial factors. We don't really prepare the students who can just do the calculation, preparing reports, be in front of the computer and then, do the number crunching. We don't prepare them for that now because they have to face more challenging reality in the future. So they need to be business partners. They need to be able to advise financial and non-financial aspects of the business. So it will give accountants more time for long-term strategic planning. And we have seen a lot of CFOs turn into CEOs. They are, getting into the market very fast. So I'm sure that that is also one of the first things we need to learn and prepare our students to have. For Asian prospect, I think ASEAN as a single market is very big. We have ACPA, ASEAN Certified Professional Accountants, that you can become members. And we need more accountants because some countries are having accountant deficit. So the equitable economic development is really something that we need to get ourselves attuned to, especially in preparing accounting talents to be the economic contributor so that we can have more accountants according to the ratio of population. And I'm sure that now with the borderless economy, we are moving towards fully integrated global economy. So accounting profession in ASEAN, I think in terms of the accounting curriculum, need us to get some, alignment with the big four placements, because those good students will be really fast to get jobs in big four. And these are the things that we need to make sure that they have some opportunity to grow bigger, especially when we have some threats from the neighboring countries. Many of accounting graduates that we produce in Malaysia, they go to work in Singapore, they go to work in the UK, they move to Australia and New Zealand. So these are something that I think ASEAN countries will need to be really careful about. For Singapore, it's not really a problem because I think the salary offering is very, very high. But other ASEAN countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the rest, I think something that we need to work together as educators and also to work closely with the professional bodies that we have in our country, ERE, Malaysian Institute of Accountants in Malaysia, and so on. All right, so the same goes to the multinational corporations. They also look forward to have our talents. SMEs, SMPs, I think they really look to seek, graduates that we produce, banks as well, and a lot of opportunities for our graduates to work in internal audits. And the recent one we have is GBS. I'm not sure whether you have heard about GBS. It is Global Business Services. And in Malaysia, we have many big organizations like Jabil, Osram, Intel, Dell, Cypress, Infineon, a lot more. They are looking for talents. And in fact, if we in Malaysian universities produce about 2,000 to 3,000 graduates every year, it's not enough for GBS. They need more talents. And now what they do is to get new accounting talents from Kazakhstan, from Indonesia, to come to Malaysia and work, as well as from China. So China is an emerging market, not only for the economy, but also for accounting talents. All right, so it's taking shape in the ASEAN countries, and it serves a particular company on a global basis by providing outsourcing of accounting and finance. So we have a lot of service centers in certain locations. We might have a big corporate office in the US, but Malaysian office will be processing all the accounting entries, accounting documents, preparing reports, and so on. So these are the GBS that we bring to our university. In my university, University Science Malaysia, we bring the industry into our campus. The reason is because they look for talents, and most of our talents, 96% will get job easily, and they are very afraid that all these graduates go to the Big Four. So that's why they come, and then they offer lots of privileges to our students. So we have good connection with the industry. So we have JBL, we have PSDC, and a lot more. And Singapore is something that, as I said, is a hub for accounting services. In fact, in ASEAN markets, we have a lot of demands for accountants to work in Singapore, and they offer good salary. I was told by my ex-students that some of the Singaporean firms, they offer critical allowance in addition to the salary. I think the salary range about 3,000 Singapore dollar to 3,500, and then they are given extra 500 as critical allowance to work in Singapore. I think this is the reason why Singapore can become hub of accounting services. This is the distribution of accountants in the ASEAN countries. So actually we have a lot of things to do. You can see that ERE, although you have 29,000, close to 30,000, but in terms of comparing you with the population, still quite low. So, it's quite difficult for educators to produce. We are not much manufacturing companies to produce, products, but we have a big role to play from now on. So these are some current issues that might be something to ponder upon. For example, we have limited progress in the accounting education in terms of harmonizing efforts with other ASEAN countries with existing harmonized international education standards for intended qualifications requirements. Actually, a lot of our syllabus in Malaysia, in my university, we really follow the IES in terms of providing some, talents that are aligned with the requirements from the education standards produced by IFAC and so on. So these are some current issues that we try to solve because we know there are complaints, although the complaints are not directed directly to our students, because so far we have got all the 6 accreditations from professional bodies fully. We don't have that problem, but still we need to be mindful in terms of making sure the accreditation is going to continue. So there are studies that concern the accounting education standards, and of course there are research that can produce some figures for us to ponder as well. So these are some further issues: difficulty in monitoring and enforcement of requirements across ASEAN countries. Although we have ACPA, ASEAN Certified Professional Accountants, but still, much things are not really being unfolded truly so that we can leverage the benefits. So there are a lot of things that we need to do. And providing training is also another hassle because we need to keep up to date with the financial reporting standards, and it is quite limited in some universities. And we don't really pay attention to IES that is shaping the accountancy education programs. So that is something that I think we need to pay attention to. And also teaching across the accounting curricula is largely based on the interpretation and implementation of government regulations. What the Ministry of Higher Education asks us to do, we do. And little that we pay attention what would be the needs of some stakeholders like the industry players and whatnot, right? So how to maintain the quality of accounting education? So these are some efforts that we might think together. like having collaboration with ASEAN universities. And then we might want to really focus on how can we align the curriculum that we have with IES issued by IFAC. And also that would be something that ASEAN countries will need to adjust as well. And there must be effective coordination between the higher education institutions as well as with the respective professional bodies. If you are in Indonesia, then ERE will be the professional body that should be working closely with universities, which I think EIE is doing a great job. And sustainable monitoring and supervision of IES and so on, as well as the implementation of common standard for practical experience requirements, mentoring, arrangement, and also monitoring of achievements. These are the reform in education, accounting education that we need by having the right competency framework and then making sure that the gaps are being addressed. We need to develop more programs that will give opportunities for students to position themselves in line with what industry needs. And also we need to send the lecturers, teachers for training and also implement some programs that will boost out the monitoring and collaboration. All right, so I think my time is up. So I give back to the moderator. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll be very happy to answer some questions that you may have. Thank you, Bu.
Thank you, Dr. Zubir. It's very interesting though. It's pondering in my mind that what challenges that we face today in education, accounting education, is totally different with what our teacher, my teacher, 100 years ago, had. And let's ask ourselves whether we are teaching our students the same as our teachers, or yeah, that's interesting questions. Thank you once again. Our second presenter will be Professor Nemoto. Thank you, Dr. Jubir. I will read Professor Nemoto curriculum vitae first before we proceed. Professor Masatsugu Nemoto obtained his PhD from Chungbuk National University in Public Administration Regional Studies and got his Master of Arts in Graduate School of Humanities in Ibaraki University. Also obtained his bachelor degree in Ibaraki University. His experience, among of others, are research professor in Jeongju, Chungcheongbuk-do, Korea, from May 2019 to present, and research associate also in Jeongju, Chungcheongbuk-do, Korea, from October 2009 until April 2019. His publication includes roles of socio-economic organization and online donation system at disaster area, focusing on East Japan earthquake damage area, and third sector of disaster prevention, case of Great East Japan earthquake. Professor Nemoto, the screen is yours. Yes. You may proceed, Professor Nemoto.
Hello, my name is Nemoto Masatsugu. Work at the International Development Institute of Chungbuk National University in Korea. Thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. Today, I would like to present in this order. First, I review the outlines of the Korean Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Japanese Institute of Certified Public Accountants and their role in the public sector. And I would like to introduce the latest trends in Japan regarding accounting for non-profit organizations. At first, KIPPA, Korean Institute of Certified Public Accountants, was established in 1954 by what is now known as the CPA Act, with the purpose to heighten morality, improve or develop the functions of CPAs and instruct or supervise its members. There are 23,000 professional members. This is the KIPCA's website in Korean language. And this is the KIPCA's English website. As you can see, the title of article about ZICPA, Japan. They had a meeting with ZICPA to exchange views on projects at IAASP last year. KIPPA's role related with public sector. There is the accounting standards for government. The central government prepares its financial statements pursuant to the national accounting standards based on the National Accounting Act enacted in October 2007. The financial statements of the central government are prepared using the accurate basis of accounting. The central government established the National Accounting Standards Center in 2010 with the objective of preparing its financial statements using the accurate basis of accounting, and entrusted the KIPCA with the operation of the center. The National Accounting Standards Center performs various duties such as collaborating in the formation of national accounting standards and revisions thereof, reviews of interpretations of standards of assessment of inquiries, support in the settlement of accounts for the government and other public institutions, facilitation of national accounting education initiatives, and providing practical guidelines to corporate executives in charge of accounting. Under the agreement with KIPPA, the central government commissions an account settlement support group comprised of CPAs with the aim in promoting the advancement of national accounting and supporting the government's account settlement. The second, local government. Local governments prepare their financial statements pursuant to the accounting standards for local governments established in October 2006, enacted by the Local Finance Act as revised in August 2005. The standards are based on the accurate basis of accounting. Local government's financial statements are subject to external review conducted by CPAs accordance with the relevant act. Third, public institutions. Public institutions refer to state-owned entities, quasi-governmental institutions, and other government-regulated entities as prescribed by the relevant act. They are required to prepare their financial statements pursuant to the regulation on accounting for state-owned entities and quasi-governmental institutions. The regulation is based on the actual basis of accounting. Public institutions' financial statements are subject to external review conducted by CPAs in accordance with the Act on the Management of Public Institutions. Fourth, nonprofit organizations. Nonprofit organizations can be generally categorized as educational institutions, medical institutions, social welfare foundations, and others. Each prepares financial statements pursuant to relevant rules and regulations based on the actual basis of accounting. Private education institutions, medical institutions operating a certain number of hospital beds, and other nonprofit organizations with assets over a certain amount are subject to external review conducted by CPAs. Here is JIPA, Japanese Institute of Certified Public Accountants. In Japan, the CPA system was introduced in 1948 under a new set of policies seeking to preserve the nation's industrial and financial cliques, to popularize securities trading with citizens, and to increase the number of individual shareholders. The ZICPA started as a voluntary organization in 1949 and later became a corporation under the CPA Act in 1966. As of March 31st, 2021, over 32,000 CPAs are registered. This is the ZIPCA website in Japanese language. And this is a ZIPCA's YouTube video. I will show you this YouTube video now.
JICPA determines ethical codes, guidelines, and professional standards, including quality control reviews that enhance audit quality and provide professional development for auditors. Finally, there is cooperation. The character ren implies smoothness, evenness, connection. As professional accountants, we must continually adapt to new roles, mediating between and working with various parties to ensure smooth fiscal functioning and cooperation. Beyond that, we support developing countries with capital markets and the training and development of accountants. JICPA has been helping develop the future of international accountancy.
Japan's corporate governance code for listed companies was adopted in 2015 and amended in June 2018. The code states that companies should appoint at least 2 independent directors, and that persons with appropriate experience and skills, as well as necessary knowledge on finance, accounting, and the law, should be appointed as corporate auditors. In particular, at least one person who has sufficient expertise in finance and accounting should be appointed as corporate auditors. In accordance with these provisions, the number of CPAs serving as outside directors and corporate auditors has been rising, and currently stands at more than half of all listed companies. To support CPAs working in the variety of fields, the ZICPA's ZICPA has established a number of specialized councils. The number of registered members of Public Accounting Council and of the working groups, etc., within each council are as follows. There is a Social Security Working Group. Now, this is a recent trend of NPO, non-profit organization accounting in Japan. The NPO accounting and the tax expert network is established on August 31st, 2003. And this network aims to contribute to the sound development of NPOs by conducting research, dissemination, and support for accounting and taxation related to NPOs. The number of members are 485. Mission. NPO activities require support, such as donations, membership fees, and volunteers in order to tackle social issues, gaps, and highly advanced themes that are difficult to achieve with compensation. In order to receive support, the credibility of the organization is more important than that of a commercial enterprise. From the standpoint of accounting and tax experts, one of the NPO accounting and tax expert networks roles is to aim to improve the credibility of NPOs. The NPO accounting and tax expert network expands its network of experts so that many accounting and tax professionals understand the activities of NPOs and become involved in NPOs in various ways, such as volunteers, donors, directors, and members. Accounting, taxation, and related systems surrounding NPOs face various challenges. The NPO accounting and tax expert network's third role is to address theme unresolved issues, solve them using their specialized knowledge and experience, and support the certain of an environment in which the activities of NPO can spread. These are two issues of NPO accounting and tax in Japan. One is noting the monetary equivalent of volunteer services in financial statements. NPOs are very much supported by the provision of labor by volunteers for free or at extremely low prices, which is a characteristic not found in commercial enterprises. On the other hand, it has long been pointed out that the true scale of NPO's activities is underestimated by not evaluating the efforts of volunteers in monetary terms. In other words, for-profit companies generally pay money to produce the labor necessary to implement their business. So personnel expenses tend to be large, whereas in the case of NPOs, volunteers' labor costs tend to be low because labor is often provided as part of a company, which causes the problem of not being able to make fair financial comparisons. To address these issues, the accounting standards for NPOs allow the provision of volunteer labor to be converted into money and disclosed in financial statements. However, this is voluntary for organizations that wish to convert it into money and publish it in their financial statements. This is because if there is an organization's idea that it should not be converted into money in the first place, it will be respected, and a lot of work will occur in tabulation and evaluation. The second issue is quid pro quo for donations. There is no provision in the NPL law regarding the definition of donations when there are return gifts in Japan. How do you think quid pro quo for donations in your country? In the UK, British National Tax Agency sets the upper limit of the benefit or return gifts when it is subject to the donation tax system. In the United States, the difference between the amount donated and the market value of the goods or services the donor receives is considered tax deductible. As a legal interpretation, clear-handed that many donors and NPO corporations can understand is necessary in Japan. I spoke about the outline of KIPCA's and JIPCA's role related with public sector industries and the recent trends of NPO accounting. That's all about I prepared today. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Nemoto. For audience who have interested in public sector accounting and for non-profit organizations, maybe you can now start thinking how public sector accounting in Korea and Japan is different with our practice here in Indonesia. Now, the next part is a question and answer session. And I should give you an announcement first. We will have some vouchers for best question asked. 2 winners for the sessions and another 3 winners for the second sessions later. And each vouchers worth 100,000 rupiah. Not yen or Singapore dollar. Yes, first question from Bapak Heru Hermawan from Universitas Al-Azhar Indonesia to Dr. Zubir Azhar. Assalamualaikum, good afternoon. The great insight from your presentation related to development of technology that is currently growing so fast. Does it have the potential to change accounting standards in the future? Will the accountant position be eliminated or change its function due to technological development? How do you think? Thank you. And there is another question also for Dr. Zubir. Should I read all of the question first? I think you answer one by one, Dr. Zubir, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ani.
The question is...
Thank you very much, Dr. Anis Lastiati. In fact,
Please,
I have already responded to Pak Heru Hermawan in the chat box, but let me just go to provide some general response to what is being asked. I think this is the dilemma and also the worry that many universities, lecturers, educators in accounting face, whether or not the technologies will replace, our accountants fully. I'm also a council member for Malaysian Institute of Accountants, and we've been asked a lot about this thing. So the response that we normally give is that, don't worry, technology is not going to replace accountants. In fact, with the population that we have, we're still short of accountants. we need to have a lot more, and technologies should not be seen as threats or enemies of accountants, but rather they are the companion, and also something that accountants will need to leverage, use them, and also benefit from using the technologies. I think nowadays the role of auditors are becoming much easier because uh, accountants or auditors are being supported and also assisted by the artificial intelligence. um, Artificial intelligence can provide lots of insights in terms of providing direction, what auditors need to prepare for, uh, um, making sure that when they conduct the audit, they're going to go to the right areas, and also they're going to have better um, opinions to be issued. So I think actually the technologies are really helpful for auditors to perform their jobs. The same goes to the tax consultants. I think it's becoming more important for us to leverage on technology, especially when the companies are moving towards having cloud accounting. They are moving towards having robotic process automation. So nowadays, if you want to do the stock count, you don't go to the warehouse and then calculate one by one how many boxes in the warehouse, but we use the drones, we use the machines, we use the barcode to get to know about the inventory management. So that will facilitate us a lot. And I don't think that is going to, these technologies are going to replace accountants. As I said, GBS is a new emerging market. They need more accountants because of the financial services provided through the regions and so on. The second question is asking about how to build emotional intelligence to become good accountants. Yeah, this is something to do with the nature of accountants. We need to build emotional intelligence because anything to do with money, anything to do with financial, people look for accountants. Sometimes you feel very worried, to do your job because you don't want to make mistakes. But nevertheless, we still have a lot of accountants cheating and then they become corrupted and so on, right? But put aside those, I think those are without values. But emotional intelligence, I think you need to build something that you care for stakeholders, and then you have some empathy to make sure that people rely on the financial statements prepared by you, and you have already applied the right standards, you have prepared according to what is required. I think shouldn't be any problem. So I think to build emotional intelligence, the atmosphere of the organization is very important. Uh, Tone from the top is important. Technologies used will be very important because that will build character better, because if you are facilitated, supported by technology, I'm sure that accountant's job can be done easily. So those are the responses that I have, Bu. Thank you very much to those posting the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zubir. So it's we have to look further into our curriculum to accommodate the technology, the emotional intelligence outcome, right? The third question is from Ibu Sri Opti from Universitas Trilogi to Professor Nomoto. Professor Nomoto, how to measure voluntary service in government financial report? How could we measure voluntary service in government financial reports? This question for Professor Nemoto.
If you have some
Prof, are you
material
can you hear me? Yes. Yes, Professor, can you hear us?
Of lawyer, for example, a lawyer do as volunteers. I mean, free. A lawyer work 1 hour for free as volunteer. We can estimate. We can understand his or her hourly wage and then a salary per 1 hour, right? So in this case, you can note the amount of $100 US dollar. A lawyer work 1 hour for free as volunteer, and then you can note in the financial statements that a lawyer worked 1 hour in our organization, and the value is about $100. Like this, you can note in financial statement in Japan. It's a Japanese case. Do you understand?
The question. No? There is one other question. Wait.
Budiela from Duta Wacana.
Yeah, also for Professor Nemoto. From Ibu Dia, Duta Wacana Christian University. As far as she knows, Japan has its own accounting standards. How can Japanese accounting standards and tax policies be able to support green economy policies? And may I know examples of policies in relation to taxation and how far the implementation has been successful? It's about the accounting standard for green economy policies, yeah. Accounting and tax policies. Yeah.
I am sorry, but I'm not know this issue very much, so it's difficult for me to answer just now. I apologize. It's difficult for me to answer this this issue. I do not know this issue so much.
Okay.
Sorry.
So so Bu Diela, this question is not on Professor Nomoto area of expertise. I suppose actually Japanese. Is that Professor Nomoto? Yes. Okay. Yeah, Bu Diela. Bu Diela said thank you, Professor Nemoto. Thank you, Professor Nemoto and Dr. Zubir. I think that's the end of part 1 of today's year. Once again, highly appreciation for your presentations. I hope that you both are still able to be with us and this session. Yeah, now we move on to the second session with the first speaker with Professor Dr. Paul Hamzah Ricci, CA. Allow me to read his curriculum vitae. Professor Hamzah Ricci obtained his doctor degree in Humboldt Universität zu Berlin in Business Information System with magna cum laude, and got his Master of Business and IT degree from University of Melbourne, Australia, and bachelor degree from Universitas Padjadjaran Bandung. This is my junior, junior from me, Prof. Ricci. His involvement in industry and academic includes as professor in AIS and digital innovation in Universitas Padjadjaran Bandung, and Director of Research and Education ACFE Indonesia chapter, and Director of Center for Digital Innovation Studies. He has expertise in primary knowledge area, business process management, process innovation intelligence, accounting information system, IT GRC, business and IT architecture. Prof. Hamzah Ricci, the screen is yours, please.
Okay, thank you, Bu Hanis. Dr. Hanis. Let me prepare. It appears we have an echo here. Can anyone see? Can anyone hear it? Okay, right. Yes, and also I would like to also greet all the fellow speakers here for today's session for the second part. And yeah, I see at the first presentation, Pak Zubir, yeah. I would like to greet him. Hope you are in the good condition as well. Thank you for allowing me to be present here. It's pleasant, yeah, for this moment to deliver a topic which is about transformation of the role in accounting information system. Let me share the screen first. Yeah, for the remaining of the topic that I will deliver, you should be able to see the slide right now. Okay, maybe Bu.
Yes, we can.
So as I had already handed over the lecture slides, yeah, or the slides before in a couple of days back, but I am not going to deliver each slide for this occasion, as I think it will take some time to finish all this presentation. So there are a couple of slides that I will skip just to make sure that the time is right, and also for the targeting purpose, for the effectiveness purpose. Okay, we're going to have this agenda. I would like all of us, especially in Indonesia, yeah, to get to know about the digital ecosystem. So we will be starting from this. And secondly, as part of the topic that I'll be delivering, we're going to talk about the practicing the sustainable business. So what it is, and how an organization should be able to counter or go about this sustainable practice. And the core part is about the accounting information system roles, yeah, in sustainable business practice, and the recap will wrap up the whole discussion. Okay, before we're heading to the digital innovation, before we're heading to the digital ecosystem or digital economy, I would like to deliver this particular description about digital innovation. Do not to be overwhelmed with the wording here. So I'm trying to highlight, yeah, the important area that we can actually spotting on this slide. First is about what is digital innovation. So there are a number of description or a number of definition about digital innovation from time to time. Like for example, here I offer you these two sources, yeah, from the last 10 years and from recent study that in the below part. So digital innovation is described as the creation of market offerings, or actually it can be business processes or also the models in the business that result from the use of the digital technology. So we have the same or similar philosophical view with the next or with the with the other definition. So I'm not going to read the other one. But the main points of digital innovation can be actually scrutinized in three major things. First, you need to come up with the outcomes. So the outcome itself is not only a products, but also the processes or maybe the other value pathways that can or that may emerge during the process of this innovation. And speaking and by digital means that we attempt or we strive to use the technology related this for this business processes. So whenever you go with some conversion from the analog data into the more digital data, we are doing this. We are doing digitization, but digital innovation does not stop there. You need to come up with new value, new core value by using this digital technology, of course. So having digital technology itself is not enough. Having outcomes itself is not enough. So you need the combination between both. But nevertheless, using the outcomes and digital technology also requires us to create certain context of which the actors and the innovation interacts. So we have here, for example, all the platform businesses that we are seeing at the moment, the Meta or the Google businesses, Amazon, all of those corporations, all of those firms runs their business using the platform. So the platform in this context shows us the example of the context. So digital innovation can be in many forms, but you need to come up with the context of by using the digital technology. So let's move on. After we see the digital innovation, let's talk about or let's see how this digital innovation manifests in the digital economy of Indonesia. For in particular, the source is from the last research, combined research between the Google, Temasek, and Bain company. So if you look into this chart, we are seeing a very promising and even I think huge expectation about the contribution of digital economy to this country GDP, country economic itself. Like for example, in total, if we look into the 2019, we only have 40 billion US dollar in terms of gross merchandise value that is normally used as the representative or as the proxy for measuring the digital economy contribution. But for 2020 and 2021, there are a sharp increase with 49%. Even we are expecting by the 2025 we will have this a bigger boost in digital economic contribution to the GDP by 20%. And if you look into, if we decompose that chart into four sub digital economy area, we can see that at each of these digital area or digital businesses, they experience a very promising increase or very promising improvement towards the GDP boost. Like for example, we have e-commerce, those companies that sell and buy product not only in the platform business, but also if you run a store and then you convert your your store by using website, and then you sell them through your website. It's actually essentially an e-commerce. And also we are also witnessing the transport and food industry. Some people also call it as an on-demand businesses. They also have the same trajectory, sharp increasing trajectory from 19% by 2021 to by 19% increase from 2021 to 2022, and by 2025 we are expecting to have a more incremental promising increasing from 2022 to 2025 by 15, and also it applies with the remaining of the other chart here. So speaking about that, what can we infer? Of course, we cannot separate anymore. It is between the digital technology or which stems from the digital innovation with the way we're doing business. So digital is indispensable in the sense. And how can we actually leverage the value of such technology and digital is a question of how we also run the business. So in terms when it comes to the current development where companies and also societies expect more, not only for the company not only to give or focusing only for the bottom line, in this case the profit. So what should we do? In case we also think about different kind of stuff. First, we need to relate the technology with the trust. How can we leverage technology in such a way that it also can create trust between the interacting people, between the society, and between the businesses that adopt them. So it's because the technology itself is natural, so it really depends on the way we use it. So we need to be able, the companies or the society need to be able to mitigate any vulnerability that may hinder the businesses from doing the business practice very fair and fair and square. And also we look into the talent. Pak Zubir also already give a little a number of concern and or number of picture about how we should develop our talents in accounting. So it cannot also be separated from the use from the needs of this talent to being literate by the technology itself. So one thing that I like from the previous slide from the previous former speakers is that there is a notion that which is similar with the way with the one that I said here, that technology doesn't really suppress the creativity. In fact, or as opposed to it, is that technology can enhance the creativity. I will show you how this technology in terms of accounting information system, for example, can actually leverage the way we do the audit by using the AI. So in terms of the technology and talents, we see here that we could expand more with the innovation, and we need to be able to understand more with the emerging tools, emerging technology. We have so many advancements like the robotic process automation, or the blockchain technology, and the cloud technology itself. The big data is actually, everyone can hear it right now. It's no longer a new buzzword for I suppose. And also it creates a new accessibility opportunity for everyone who can actually leverage this technology for their talents. And going back to the topic of the second part, that's we need to also connect or link this technology with the sustainability issues. So what kind of technology and what technology that out there that that needs to be acquired by a company in order to improve the operation. But by saying operation is actually it's not an ordinary operation, but we have to be able to leverage this operation such that it doesn't really interfere with the way they use with the way they aim for sustainability. Yeah. So we are looking into the efficient production lines, and we hope for the smarter communication between workers, and the way we can produce products or services, not by being present, but also can manage in terms of remote capabilities of working. And the last one, it is the essence of the sustainability business practice. I believe is how can firms or how can companies and society use this technology to manage or to maintain the way we invest this into the sustainable future. And with the ever increasing and a myriad amount of data we are seeing now, we are operating at the moment, and even we are creating, we are now can prepare or can foresee ourselves to be a data-driven society. Yeah. And how can we use this data-driven paradigm to provide the solution is actually another hope, yeah, another factor that we need to consider. And the last part is to create the more resilient. By having such smart society, we are hoping to create a more resilient communities which are technology literate and are agile. Yeah. So the message here is that we cannot only keeping up with the digitals, or we cannot only rely with the technology itself, but we also need to turn our focus with how we can better provide the community, yeah, with the presence of the companies. And so the idea of the sustainable business practice actually comes down into three parts. Just to give us a simple remembering terms, we need to have a focus on people, the planet, and the profit. And how are we going to do that? One of the approach is by leaning ourselves to or focusing ourselves to sustainable development goals. This is one agenda, one global agenda that everyone's in the planet that aims to overcome and or to reach. Yeah, I'm not sure if 17 goals are still the updated one, but the main essence of this that companies are no longer seeing themselves to pursue only profit, but they need to be able to have a sustainable practice by which is governed by the Sustainable Development Goals. And the next thing is also GRC. I believe GRC has been around for a couple of years, and even we are looking at the moment how industry also is strictly required by the regulators, yeah, to provide and to demonstrate that their business operation are conducted in a very transparent and accountable manners. So basically, GRC stems from governance, risk, and compliance. So each terms has its own philosophy, has its own goals. For example, for the first one, the governance is actually the way you structure your organization or your company to put the right person with the proper obligation and with the proper accountability measurement. So you're basically acting as the representative of the stakeholders or the larger stakeholders. So how can we provide the these stakeholders with that the companies is run efficiently. While the risk management is actually can be also sub part of the governance. Basically, it's not enough to be focusing on the goals itself, but you need to also be able to mitigate any kind of obstacles down the road before you achieve or reach your goals. That's basically the risk management. While the compliance is, I think compliance is from time to time, more and more becoming a standard way of doing the practice. You cannot be relevant in your industry if you do not follow certain rules that is mandated by certain regulation. For example, banking, we have a financial national authority, while for the financial payment, we have a central bank. Yeah, these are the guys from the government that gives us the regulation, and we need to comply with them. So failing to comply for that certain rules is actually will not be seen as the good practice of doing the company. And the last part is I think is about the ESG. It is somehow more getting more popular, in among the companies, which is also strongly related with the topic, the sustainable. How can firms be sustainable? They need to consider not only the bottom line, but also how it impacts the environmental and social aspect, and we need to be, this company need to be able to provide the accountability measurement for this. So that's concludes ends the part of the sustainable business practices. So I'm heading to talk about how this accounting information system can actually transform the way the business to be more sustainable in the future. Do I still have time, Bu Anis? Maybe you can go.
Yes, Pak Richie.
Right. Accounting information system, I believe that many students also will you will for those who haven't taken the subject, you will take this subject as part of the mandatory or compulsory subjects in your curriculum, accounting curriculum. So you need to know that all of this topic that fulfill the phase of accounting will be is actually map or not mapping, is actually connected by accounting information system. How can one provide the report if you don't have the system or the structure that collects the records and store and process such data into a more meaningful information? So that's basically the accounting information system is all about. So there are three roles, the key roles, and I think it is still persistent with the current or nowadays development. So accounting information system still aims to be to make a better collection and storing of the data. So maybe in the past we think about how people record the data in a manual way with the pencil or maybe with some mechanical typewriting devices. But nowadays, the way you collect the data maybe no longer relies on such manual stuff, but maybe with a more automatic scanning, you can just simply input the data into the system. So that marks the transformation that you or us as an accounting need to provide for the industry or for the communities. And the second key roles is how we can transform the data into meaningful information. Meaningful means different things with different stakeholders, with different peoples. So the challenge here is actually how we accountants can can tell or can really know about the structure or the information profession that need to be delivered to the proper audience. Yeah. So you see that there is no drastic change of the way we see the accounting information system key roles here. And the last part, which I will also provide you the example on, is that the accounting information system is the engine that is instrumental for us to provide the internal controls, or in the sense that the internal controls it will function as the way we address the risk. Yeah. So if you look into the current development, we're looking into different and many promising development in accounting technology as well. Like this, for example, in terms of the accounting data capturing, we are now dealing with the paperless, as I mentioned before. And for providing the information, we can now also realize to transform this number of how we deal with the system is also to we need to improve the interface. So if you look into this chart, all of these factors, or sorry, all of these things are increasing or are improving, yeah, with the way the technology is integrated by the company. So for example, in data collection, as I said, yeah, we no longer rely on manual data, but we can do it by using the barcode. Even we can do it by nowadays. You can just simply scan the data or query the data, yeah. And we can also use the system integration to make a seamless transformation from one part to another part of the company. And the last part, the data scraping, is, I believe, is something that is a new value that is emerging from from the ability of the technological advancement by having big data from so many things, not only relying on the string data, but also the sound, the voice, yeah, and the motion, and also maybe from the unstructured data you get from the website, like for example from social media. In terms of the information output, rather than having a basic statistic, you can by the help of machine learning or deep learning or many other artificial intelligence, you can enhance your analytical expertise or analytical capabilities for certain anomaly detection. This is something that is particularly needed in terms of reading the pattern. Yeah, for example, if you want to detect any fraud or any inconsistency, and rather than using the non-real time.
Prof. Richie,
yes,
maybe you still have another minute to conclude.
Yes, I'm trying to speed up the talk. So the last part, the IS control, is also is improving. We have the fingerprint recognition to prevent unauthorized person from entering our facilities, and iris recognition using the biometric integrated facilities, and also faces recognition, something that I believe you are also familiar with, yeah, in your daily life. So this is the last part, Bu Aris, that I promised to conclude. So we can see how the artificial intelligence as the example of the technological advancement that can improve the audit procedures. As we already understand that audit procedures will start from the planning phases, and then we do the test of control, and then you test it, and then you can conclude the risk, right? So we can compare between having AI with us or we don't have with AI with us. So right in the middle is the technological AI base, which is ML, machine learning, and combined with natural language processing and also voice recognition. So by having with AI, you can produce certain amount of risk assessment, based on prior year documents and also the business environments, and many things, many records and summarizes that you sometimes are drowned or overwhelmed inside it. So we can see by having AI here in the planning phase have a moderate impact towards the audit procedure comparison. Secondly, in terms of the evaluation for internal control, using the same technology combination, we see the drastic improvement or big impact for having the AI here. We can prepare the worksheet references using and also we can include the flow chart and risk and control matrices, and also we can also analyze the screen captures. Even we can digitally inspect the documents without really have to look into the paper-based one. And in terms of substantive procedures, the impact is also equally improving and high with the advancement of barcode and QR codes, or many things that you can flex whenever you see that there are some inconsistencies. They can automatically give you the flags, the red flags that this need to be elaborated more or checked further. And the last one is for the closing procedures. You also have the not so much big impact, but still there is an impact for having the AI here, because you can formulate the audit score based on the client's risk and many other things, so on and so forth. So what can an aspiring accountant to prepare? What do you need to prepare? I believe that these capabilities, the data-oriented, orienting yourself to business processes, always aware with the technological advancement, and the second last part is the governance consideration, is something that you can actually enhance for your future accounting professional stuff. Even in industry itself, we are lacking of those accountants, those accounting graduates who have a literacy in the technology can impact the control or the risk. This is something that is happening in my association, the ISAKA, Information System Audit. We are still struggling to get those accounting graduates who has such this audit ability combined with technology. So the market is still way large, and then but of course it demands for the students to equip themselves, for understanding such technology impact with the current advancement and regulation. Just for funny story, for students out there, just study hard for having fulfill your time with play hard rather than study hard. Even though it is not really serious, but I believe that by having more networking, more certification, and orientation to not only for your cognitive aspect, will improve the way you deliver yourself in the future. Okay, thank you, and I'm sorry if it's too much for and exceeding the time limit. So I hand over to Bu Anis. Thank you.
Thank you. There are students. You need to play harder. 80% play hard, only 20% study hard, right? It is interesting the way you connect digital technology to sustainability. The word digital innovation itself sounds scary for some of us. Then in the latest slide you said, keep up with the technology and advancements. For audience, it's time for you to think about questions or comments to Prof. Richie presentation. Meanwhile, we listen to next presentation from Bapak Doni Hamdani. I will read the curriculum vitae of Bapak Doni Hamdani. Bapak Doni Hamdani, his bachelor degree in economics, majoring in accounting, from University of Indonesia in 2000. Started the career as an auditor for 11 years at Tanu Dirja Wibisana and Rekan, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then joined PT Penjaminan Infrastruktur Indonesia Persero in 2012 and has held various strategic positions, including Executive Vice President Corporate Strategy and Finance, and the last time served as Deputy Director of Finance before being appointed as Director of PT Penjaminan Infrastruktur Indonesia. Bapak Doni, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Anis. Thank you also for the introduction. This is truly an honor for me to be invited to share a few perspectives, which I hope can be meaningful. But before that, yang saya hormati, Honorable Chairman of Yayasan Pengembangan Pendidikan Indonesia, Profesor Dr. Arsetianto, juga Rektor Universitas Trilogi, Profesor Pramono, dan juga Ibu Anis, moderator dan juga Vice Chancellor of for Learning and Student Affairs at Trilogi University. So, and also all distinguished and honorable speaker and the exceptional guests and audience. Good afternoon, selamat sore, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To introduce, my name is Doni Hamdani and I'm CFO of PT Penjaminan Universitas Indonesia. We call it Indonesia Infrastructure Guarantee Fund in a more global name, state-owned enterprise, which provide a government guarantee to the infrastructure project. But of course, today I'm not going to talk about how to get a government guarantee from us, even though I'm very much open to discuss further on the subject. If I may, we go to the next slide. So let me open my sharing session with one fact that I think we could all agree to. The only thing that is constant is change. So this is said by someone who lived, I don't know, a very long time ago. And of course, I don't know the person who said it, Heraclitus of Ephesus. But since it's been almost many centuries, she said it, and now we can all confirm that it is true. And that statement, I think, is a perfect pitch to start. So can we move on to the next slide? So to change is to transform. Now we can always feel the disruption, the changes happening around us is becoming more frequent. And as a constant change, uncertainty is becoming more frequent and more severe nowadays. I take this graphic from McKinsey study. So if we look at the left side from IMF World Uncertainties Index, global uncertainty has grown manifold since year 2000. And geopolitical risk index has not been higher since 2003, higher even with the situation now as in Ukraine. Cyber security breach has risen 24% since 2013. Frequency of natural disaster is also rising, as now we know that nobody ever thought that there's going to be any pandemic COVID-19 in a global scale. So the statistics is only to show and emphasize that changes are real, and it is imminent to happen in every step of our way. Next slide again, please. So that's in our condition that we are living in a VUCA condition. This volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, it is very relevant to start analyzing the changes using this VUCA concept. The volatility itself impacting the speed of changes in the industry of market. The uncertainty impacting so many number of factors that need to consider to make more efficient decision, and also the swift one. Complexity make everything is more difficult to understand. The last one, ambiguity, lack of clarity about how things are interpreted. One situation we can have so many context and meaning. So all of this VUCA condition force business to adapt, to change, to transform. And as I think that business in its simplest definition is sort of a series of resource activity management to acquire additional wealth. So those activity must require a lot of decision, and better yet, an informed decision. And I think that's where accounting becoming relevant. accounting can provide information to the business owner about cost of various resources and its operation, cost that can compare to the potential income before making any decision. So my point is accounting can always play a vital role as it helps tracking your income, expenditure, statutory compliance, tax management, provide financial information and so on. Just like Professor said earlier in the opening speech. Yeah. So how accounting take its role in this keep changing world of business? This is something that I want to share the perspective. Okay, so can we go to the next slide, please? So the title of this slide is that not all leaders are is an accounting savvy. So I took from ACFE publication back in 2019, based on 1,000 largest US public company. The proportion of the CFO. So we are not talking about the business leader, CEO or COO or CRO or CIO, the CFO, who are certified public accountants, merely counted for at 36% in 2019. So it's down from 46% in 2014. So yeah, the trend is decreasing, not the other way around. And to emphasize that the survey is based on the largest public company, which logically requires a person with high technical accounting and financial skill due to the the complexity, the various diversity of the transaction, large size of a company, compliance to adhere with a certain rule. So if you are looking on the average size of the company, the number I believe may goes further down. So like everyone can be CFO. So again, not all leader is accounting savvy, and just a little bit disclaimer for me, just to prove the point that I'm no longer call myself an expert in accounting, but more on the casual practitioner. I sort of lived those world years ago. I once quite familiar with US GAAP, IFRS, PCAOB rules on Sarbanes-Oxley, let alone the Indo-GAAP, because I have an experience in auditing Telkom or Indosat that is need to be in compliance with the SOX 404. But that's feel like an ages ago. So actually, to be here sharing my knowledge again is truly an honor. Thank you, Bu Anis, for the invite. And I truly believe that when it comes to expert, I think we can rely on the incredible and distinguished speaker here. So to prove the point that I'm no longer familiar with the how to write or report the transaction or creating journal entries, closing process, etc. But I should do know how to read and interpret the financial reporting. So in my day-to-day activity, I required my finance accounting team to deliver the accounting record, the set of data which accumulated into a backstory, which can be converted into a knowledge and ultimately an insight in a real-time condition for me to make a swift and accurate decision. So of course, I really understand that accounting is not just a bookkeeping service. It's also not a clerical work. It's much more than that. It is how accounting can provide insight for the business leader to make decision for the future. And I think that's where the transformation is headed. Okay, so we go to the next slide, please. Okay, so beginning with the transformation. The journey that we call from the traditional accounting for balance sheet, need to be shifted to what we call the accounting for business and value creation. Even we should not call ourselves a CFO, but CVO. It's not a Chief Financial Officer, but Chief Value Creation Officer. But we also agree that transforming accounting and finance function to be at the heart of decision making and value creation is very challenging, and it cannot be achieved in short notice in overnight. And many companies may not have the incentive to do that, since the investment and commitment is very high. However, if we can see theoretically, as in the screen, typically the changes stage is identified in this graphic. So from the very left side, we see that this for the basic accounting. So it's for the bookkeeping. And the next stage is how we can get a full and comprehensive understanding and confidence in one business operation, to understand every nook and crannies, so it can identify every room for improvement to deliver the accurate performance and result. And then the utilization of digital data. And this is a very interesting thing, because the previous speaker, Pak Razi, has already mentioned a lot of digital transformation. This digital data can be escalated on the customer focus, automation process, both in front office or back office, ability to record and manage activity in a real-time basis. So all of this will enable the valuable insight in decision-making process, cutting time to process, analyze and reduce the potential error. So I think the main objective about transforming accounting role in this ever-changing business landscape is to simplify and summary on this screen, is essentially how to transform data to knowledge to insight. So the goal is how to provide insight based on all the data that is collected, recorded, reported to the business leader. Okay, so now let's focus on the enabler that can initiate and differentiate this whole process. This the word that is being highlighted, the digital data. So as it may sound cliche, but of course the previous speakers already elaborate quite elaborate that the digital transformation is actually the answer on how the transformation can be done. So all of this FUCA that we discussed earlier, all of the conditions that force us to change can be responded with digitalization. The current digital technology will be able to help a lot in mitigate the volatility, as we know about data mining technology, big data processing technology that enable us to keep up with the velocity, the speed of the changes. For example, now a customer behavior can be predicted just to ensure that the inventory stock is at the most optimum by analyzing the buying pattern. A retail industry in China, and I will elaborate more on the later on slide, is able to change its price tag in a real time. So if you are entering the supermarket, you can see the price can go up and down based on the availability of the inventory stock. So for instance, if the goods is quite abundant in the warehouse, the price will goes down a little bit, and vice versa. So, and when the cost of goods sold increase due to more expensive raw material acquired, the price is automatically adjusted. So the store will have the same profit margin. Such technologies enable the business to respond in quick manner and such certainty. So what we are going to talk about is on the next slide is how digital transformation actually affecting the role of accounting. So this is quite famous. If we already watched this movie, Die Hard 4.0, Live Free or Die Hard. He called himself analog hero in the digital world. So we don't want to be this guy, right? In the movie, he doesn't even have a smartphone that can connect to the internet. He relies on the past knowledge without feel the need to keep up with the changes. No, I think we should be the accounting hero in the digital world. So as the world rapidly changing, where everything becoming digital with technology advancement, manual process is surely left behind. I mean, just this month, my kids can write an essay by asking a computer with the chat GPT. the famous generative pre-trained transformer. And there's a machine learning, artificial intelligence, metaverse to connect with business partner in the other part of the world, as if they are standing next to you. Virtual reality to show off the new product without making any physical exhibition. A lot of advanced ERP application, just to name a few. Yeah. All of these buzzwords is actually real and can help the transformation. And the first question is, of course, with digitalization, does it make accounting and the finance professional becoming obsolete? This is a very serious question to us as a professional, the accounting professional. And many would say that the accounting may have a dim future, a bleak future in the digital world of tomorrow. But I think the short answer is no. Technology, as cloud-based data management, process automation, advanced analytics, is actually poised to further elevate the accountant in a new and empowering way. The profession may move far beyond mere bookkeeping and journal entrying, closing, reporting. It's taking increasingly strategic role for forward-thinking businesses. Yeah, but there's no question that digital transformation will radically change the playing field. Big data has become a rich resources that need to be tapped to compete effectively. But my point is that the business should be ready to leverage the potential of digital tools. This shift as an opportunity, not a threat. So another real example of the digitalization, just to give a bit of more context, is centralizing the data management, particularly based on the famous cloud technology. Lower costs considerably can improving by communication collaborating. Many companies moving toward to a managed service using a cloud provider in storing their data. So no longer need to purchase their own server or all the redundancy it needs to ensure that all the backup data, they put all the effort to ensure the security of data by themselves. It is now sufficient by relying on the cloud service provider. We have a lot of cloud service provider that is very credible. The impact to the accountant is actually as simple as they now don't need to be worried about the data loss. They don't need to worry about the data breach, so they can focus more on more productive matters. And similarly, on the flip side, automation in the accounting process is also happening, and it can reduce cost, improve efficiency, eliminating time-consuming manual labor. I still remember how to tediously do the data entry, Trilogi matching before we can make any payment to our supplier vendor, and it's drive a straight through processing and replacing the human accountant. Yes, it is agree that it may replace the human accountant in doing those kind of things, but it frees them to focus on much more strategic tasks, collaboration, intuition, and such requirement that is cannot be done by the artificial intelligence even, yeah. Just like now. So accountant as with their unique human skill to work with each other to have an insight to extract the high quality data into more effective financial planning and reporting, it's still needed. So again, technology will support but not replace the accountant. So we can still be not to be very worried about that. Okay, so on to the next slide. I think I still have 1 or 2 slides left, just to ensure that my time is not running out. So in a digital transformation, it will certainly eliminate human involvement, yes, However, it also create vulnerability which need to be compensated with the certain manual control. This manual control still be done by human, and this to emphasize that the digitalization cannot be stand by itself. Still need to be controlled by the expert, as we called in the slide, is stewardship still need to be done. The automation should not be left as an autopilot. I may want to give an example on the digitalization process by referring to the practice that has been done in the Procter & Gamble. It's a company in the US that able to transform the purchasing and payment process. So they implemented cloud tools that enable provider and company to communicate in real time. So when purchase order are received immediately by supplier, invoicing can be generated electronically in touchless environment. So no human intervention at all in the process. This is by far a successful project, and it can speed up all the process. But the learning experience from the team behind it, the developer, the accountant, it is very critical to deeply understand the procedures, including the business, the tax, the accounting requirement, all the user need. So the application developer can program and develop, but they will not understand the business requirement. The electronic invoicing, tax rate, discount factor, all of things need to be understood by the accountant, not by the machine. Again, to emphasize that accountant is still relevant, but we need to keep up with all the changes that may happen in the future. So that one example, and the next slide is quite interesting because this is based on the real, also based on the real event in the retail industry in China. So in China, in the retail industry, it is still an experimental digital technology, such as automated checkout, price promotion, stock ordering. It is already implemented in the emerging China retail sector. Yeah. So it is making sort of a forerunner in digital retail arena. The digitalization may soon change the retail operating model, impacting customer purchase experience at the end-to-end service from the front office to the back office. So one thing that is noted here is that example in the front office application, they implemented a personal promotion, a personalized promotion. So in this type of experimental feature, they are using a beacon that can connect to the customer device, such as smartphone, and thus they is able to identify whether it has a retail app installed. If they notified that the person that walk into the store has this retail app, they can facilitate real-time data collection. They know how many times the shopper within the store. They know they even know what's the shopping route. They know the purchasing history, the shopper data, which in the end it could suggest what kind of promotion and discount that is relevant to be given to this person. So, for example, if the system will know if the shopper just had a baby because of the purchasing history, and the system also know that the last time she purchased the diapers was 2 weeks ago, and she may need to replenish the stock. Therefore, the system will push a notification that currently there are a discount for such good, and this will drive the customer behavior. I mean, how amazing is that? Despite on the the privacy policy and so on, but the system is able to do that. The digitalization is able to do that. And I took this table from the KPMG research that has shown that the push of digitalization has improved certain metrics, such as loyalty, customer, and then how the automated interaction administration has reduced service costs, decreasing failure rate. So it is something that it is something that's very useful to follow this digitalization. So, but however, this is something that without its challenge. If we can move to the next slide, I think this is the last slide. The hurdle is there. We can identify so many things, that can make such digitalization process, gone south. Change management is not in place, for example. Commitment is not there. Automation process is neglected because everybody doesn't want to embrace the new system. Everybody is back to the traditional concept, or there is even a lack of innovation in the IT. The intention is there, but the IT cannot support the need. So the inability of the business or process owner identify the needs, or even they can lack of the ability to articulate the program to the program developer. So in the end, hinder the process and so on. But to conclude this presentation, actually in the current situation, such digitalization is not final. Still a work in progress, but it's going to be. The technology continue to be tested. Winning formula for the digitalization will be discovered maybe soon. Thus, I think the accounting role, I believe, will be forced. It is not an option. It will be forced and must to keep up with such practices. How to automate the process, how to ensure the electronic or digital transaction can be accounted for, how the reliability and the speed of information can be increased, the closing process to generate the report can be done in real time. Business leader no longer need to wait 1 or 2 weeks to know the financial result at each end of months. The data transaction which are collected, recorded, can be interpreted as an insight for better decision making in predicting the future that full of uncertainty. So I think that conclude and my sharing. Thank you for the time. I hope this is something that can be insightful and also useful for everybody. Selamat sore again. Thank you, Bu Anis as a moderator.
Thank you, Pak Doni. It's very interesting though. Your presentations is confirming that accounting role is moving upward. I mean, upward, not only complying to standards, regulations, but also with the technology, we have to broaden our mind. Yeah, one of grabs me a lot. Yeah, that CFO positions in the world, only small parts taken by accountants. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So we have to look at a mirror very hardly. What did we do wrong? Because if you look at the textbooks, one of the ultimate goals of the accountants are to be in the CFO positions, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pak Doni, once again. For all the audience, there is a slight change in our session today because Dr. Popola is apparently stuck in his. He's not landed yet to KL. He's traveling from somewhere to KL and it's not landed yet. So we move the question and answer to this part now. The second part of the question and answer. We already have some questions. Professor Richie and Pak Doni, be prepared for the questions here. First from Pak Heru Hermawan to once again Pak Heru Hermawan from Universitas Al-Azhar Indonesia to Professor Hamzah. What do you think about the cyber threat to the digitalization of the economy in Indonesia? The large number of online transactions causing cyber threats is increasing in Indonesia. How do accountants prepare for this? And the second question for Professor Hamzah Ricci from Maudiana Bila from Universitas Trilogi. Does it have anything to do with the company's ESG rating on investor who will invest in the company? What is have anything to do with the company ESG? Is it? Yeah, they are here in front of me, so I can ask them, what do you really mean with the question here? Let them to, okay.
Allow me to
Ricci.
try. Yes, thank you. Allow me to address the first question maybe, and second, and hopefully if time permits, I'll try to look look into number 3. Yes, obviously that with the advancements or with the expansion of the digital economy in Indonesia, and even we are getting more and more reliance on pursuing the digital economy for the couple next years, and for some initiative, it has been seen as one of the major undertaking that need to be focused on. But it comes with the increasing risk, with the advancement of that technology, with the way people use the technology. In this case, is the cyber threat. Yes, so I concur that the cyber threat is somehow came in parallel with the advancement of the digitalization of the economy in Indonesia. And actually, this is not the new things, because for the last for a couple of years back, Indonesian government has already also mandated the Cybersecurity Council to be one of the leading sector to provide this initiative, or for the protection of the cyber threat. But I think just relying on governmental sectors is not enough, is not adequate. So we need to come up with a more prevention oriented solution, not only for the detective or corrective action. So there are a number of requirements where in industry are increasingly requires the graduates for having this cybersecurity expertise. So it is also part of the job or part of the task, for the higher education to read these needs, to bridge and to address the need by providing the graduates that has an ability for having these cyber threats. With respect to accountants, how can accountants prepare for this? And I believe somehow, since I am also part of the accounting graduates, I think accounting or accountant are the profession that can be dynamically engaged in many of the challenge in nowadays environment. So for this, to be more precise, is we need to have an accountants or accounting profession that have not only proficiency in analytical, in terms of financial analytical part, but also they need to be there are some professional services that can also be filled up by the accounting graduate students in terms of the IT governance. So ISACA, for example, one of the leading professional association in terms of IT GRC, always issued regularly studies that always show that we have a gap in terms of filling up these needs for having those graduates that has a combination between business oriented area and the technological oriented area. So I believe that accounting students, yeah, can play well in that role, yeah. And even as Pak Doni already said, they can, they can play a better role in terms of this more strategic aspect. For the second part, yes, I'm not an ESG expert, by the way, but I try to update any development in terms of in the business area, and it appears that ESG is one of the initiative or one of the things that many companies is seeking after. So some of these company, they place that ESG risk as part of the important factor in investment. And for one study I get from the PricewaterhouseCoopers study, that they made a survey on 300 or so auditors and asked them whether this ESG is getting the trajectory for the next years. And 79% said that ESG is constitute the most important factors in investment decision making, and 49, if I'm not mistaken, 49 of them said that they are willing to divest from the company that are not taking any ESG force or any ESG enforcement initiative. So in the next future, I think making a balance between environmental and social, and also the profitability is will become one of the strategic move that need to be considered by companies. I think that would be my take for the second questions. And let me see.
Number 3, what your suggestion to MSMEs on adopting the technology?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we are. I think we are happy that MSME's development as the major contributor, major in terms of labor force in Indonesia, that they are now is on board with regard to the use of technology, and many leading sectors or ministry in governmental sector nowadays put this MSME and digital integration as part of their major initiative. Like, for example, in Ministry of Information and Communication, Ministry of course, Ministry of Cooperative and Small and Medium Enterprises, yeah, and Ministry of in Trading, and many more. I think the challenge is how to create such a sense of awareness, but not only awareness, but also the ability of these MSMEs from the early part of digitalization uptaking until a more integrated or a more active use of the digitalization. So this is the something that is not only the job for only one sector, but it is a coordination issues. So for the leading sector in education, they have to also assist the MSME sector for having a more awareness in technology and be able to adopt the technology. While for the Ministry of the State of Own Enterprises, now they can be persuaded for onboarding these MSME digital MSME folks to participate in many procurements. Yeah, that's something that a more integrative aspect that we need to look after on for this MSME. And many more, I believe. So it really requires for a more involvement from the government.
many parties. Thank you, Pak. Your on the eyes of enterprises.
So I think your voice is breaking up, Boris.
Yeah.
Also for you, Pak Doni, on the implementation or the how companies can keep up with the technology, especially maybe you can look at it from the perspective of state-owned enterprise.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bonis, to respond to the number 3 question, Ibu Lady Dahlia. To add a bit on the Professor Hamza response, I happen to have this PwC annual CEO survey that asked the question what are the most important ingredients for a successful innovation. The survey said the 57% the company should have the right culture to foster and support innovation. So culture is the most important thing to endorse, to foster the innovation. That is the first one. The second one is the strong visionary business leadership. So innovation may not mean a thing until it given a direction. So not everybody can just propose an innovation to increase the effectiveness of the process itself, but the leader need to provide a strong vision and direction, so the innovation should goes to the right direction. And the third one is the willingness to challenge norm and take risks. So if we can imagine prior to the pandemic situation, if one of our employee is innovate that we should work from home, probably everybody or the management, the leader will scold this person for asking or to innovate something that is out of question by that time. That is something that is the innovation that come from the internal. It's different with the innovation that come because of the changes from the external side. I just want to make a point that the innovation that come from the internal will normally break the norm and will take the risk for the person who proposed the innovation. And for the number 4 is the ability to capture idea throughout the organization. Number 5 is capacity and capability for the creativity. So I think it is something that may be true too. If the question is how to always continue to innovate and survive, to innovate, the first one that we need to have a right culture to support and foster the innovation itself. I think that's from me, Bu Lely and Bu Anis.
Thank you, Pak Doni. Do we have still more questions here? One. For both of you, for Prof. Richie and Pak Doni. Sometimes Bulu Dwina thinks that technology in terms of digitalization will destroy our cultures, ethics, our values. What do you think?
Yeah,
it
is something that we may agree or disagree. Yeah, but if we're looking into a more optimistic views, I think there are many things that or many areas that we can dig or expand, yeah, by viewing this technology as part of our supporting for the better innovative way. So it really depends on the way we perceive the such challenge. For example, if we perceive if you use this digitalization aspect as part of the enhancing our cultures for example, effectiveness. There is one company that I read. I don't really go there, but I read just a couple days ago that these companies implements what they call as an effective meeting days. So they do not tolerate any meetings that spends more than an hour, and they only limit this meeting times range from particular days. So not every day they can arrange the meeting. The technology is there, but it goes back to the culture. It goes back to the way the companies structure their cultures. By using this technology, they can actually provide some solution in a more effective way and in a more speedy way, without really have to interfere with any others companies businesses. So that's one example of the positive side of using the technology for improving the cultures. And I think we can also use this kind of example to cascade with the other things like for ethical or for values. So I cannot really say that you are wrong or you are right. It really depends on the context that you are that you propose for this.
Yeah, Pak Doni, maybe your share of answer for Bu Ludwina.
Thank you. Just for a short response.
Propositions.
Generally, I agree with Professor Hamzah. It will definitely reshape the culture, the ethic, the value, but it may not necessarily destroy. But it definitely will reshape because the digitalization is opening up the globalization at a much more higher rate. Yeah. So the contamination from other culture, other ethics will happen, and there is a risk to it to reshape the culture, the ethic, or the values. But I think it may not necessarily destroy our culture.
Okay, thank you, Pak Doni. So for the questions, and I am asked to choose two best questions from this session. I will ask Prof. Richie and Pak Doni to help me. Which of the questions, the 4 questions, do you think the best? One each. So I will have two names here to win 100,000 rupiah voucher.
Okay. I think I will propose. I have 3 questions, I suppose, but I think one of the most interesting questions goes for Pak Heru Hermawan to me.
Big applause for Pak Heru. And then Pak Doni.
Yeah, I think from Ibu Leli.
Ibu Leli. Yeah. Okay. Thank you once again for all the speakers today. We're still waiting for Dr. Popola, but meantime, I think I conclude this session first. Thank you very much for Dr. Zubir, Professor Nometo, Professor Hamzah, and Pak Doni.
Thanks for having us.
For your participation in this seminars. I will give back the screen to the MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anis Lestiati, as our moderator for today. So before we end today's panel session, there will be a small ceremony handovering certificates for our speakers and moderator, which will be submitted by the Accounting Studi Program, Mrs. Sri Opti, SEAK MMCA Certified IPSAS. To Mrs. Opti, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Doni and Mr. Richie, for contributing in our event in International Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing in 2023. Okay, thank you to Mr. Jubir Azhar, PhD, CA, CPA, ACPA, for contributing in our event in International Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing in 2023. Thank you, Mr. Jubir. And Mr. Professor Nemoto. Thank you, Professor Nemoto, for contributing in our event in International Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing first in 2023. I certificate to Professor Nemoto, Professor Masatsugu Nemoto. Sorry. Okay. And then thank you for Mr. Doni, Mr. Richie. Thank you for Professor Dr. Paul Hamzah Rizi, CA, for contributing to our event in International Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing in 2023. Thank you, Prof. Rizi. And thank you for Mr. Doni Hamdani, SEAK, for your contributing in our event, International Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing in 2023. Thank you, Pak Doni.
Thank you, Mrs. Opti. And for all participants, please don't leave the Zoom cloud meetings because we still have one speaker. It is Mr. Popola. And while waiting, we have a socialization video from Bank Indonesia.
Proklamasi. Kami, bangsa Indonesia, dengan ini menyatakan kemerdekaan Indonesia.
Rupiah adalah Indonesia. 17 Agustus 1945. Dimulainya kata merdeka. Indonesia berdiri, mengukuhkan kaki di bumi pertiwi. 17.000 pulau dari ujung Aceh hingga Papua. Dengan keanekaragaman suku, agama, bahasa, dan budaya, telah menyepakati mata uang yang sama. Semua bersatu dalam sebuah simbol kedaulatan negara. 77 tahun usia Indonesia tampak jelas kemajuan secara nyata. Pembangunan merata, infrastruktur tertata, dan ekonomi terjaga. Ada komitmen untuk selalu menjaganya demi keutuhan bangsa Indonesia. Menghantarkan rupiah ke dalam genggaman melalui darat, laut, dan udara. Menjajaki setiap ruas hingga mengarungi lautan lepas tanpa mengenal waktu. Menjadi wujud kami dalam mengabdi, melayani, dan terus berinovasi untuk menjamin ketersediaannya ke seluruh pelosok Nusantara. Ada kebanggaan ketika melihat senyuman setiap anak negeri. Tak hanya sekedar alat pembayaran, rupiah adalah makna berkebangsaan. Kesatuan dalam keragaman dan menautkan hati pada NKRI. Bersatu dalam rupiah, berdaulat di NKRI.
Halo Mas, permisi.
Ya.
Mau nanya-nanya soal rupiah boleh ya?
Boleh.
Siapa nama tokoh pahlawan di balik uang 50.000?
Kapitan Batimura, Otto Iskandar Dinata, Insinyur Haji Juanda.
Ada berapa jumlah pahlawan perempuan yang diabadikan dalam uang rupiah dan siapa saja?
Ada 5, Cutnya Mutia, Din, Dewi Sartika, R.A. Kartini, Kak Kristina Tiahahu ya?
Bener banget!
Oh, bener.
Siapa nama pahlawan di balik uang 500 rupiah keluaran tahun 2016?
Batimura ya, Otto Iskandar.
Masih salah?
Saya Simatupang.
Betul! Gambar lokasi apa yang ada di balik uang 1000?
Apa ya? Banda Naira bukan ya?
Tak kenal maka tak cinta, kenal rupiah, cinta rupiah.
Beli kopi bang.
Ya, apalagi dek?
Udah aja, jadi berapa?
8.000. Ini kembaliannya ya.
Bang, uangnya kok diselotin gini sih? Jadinya kan lengket. Uang tuh harusnya dirawat bang, biar rezeki lancar terus.
Iya.
Mencintai tanah air dapat diwujudkan dengan mencintai rupiah. Dengan disimpan rapi, tidak dicoret-coret dan tidak di-stateless, sehingga uang rupiah selalu dalam kondisi yang baik. Mari kita menjadi bagian dari umat yang turut mencintai bangsa ini dengan mencintai rupiah seutuhnya. Mencintai rupiah sama dengan mencintai Indonesia. Saya Dr. Anusha Tambunan, Sekretaris Jenderal Majelis Ulama Indonesia, mengajak masyarakat Indonesia untuk cinta, bangga, paham terhadap rupiah dan mendukung edukasi rupiah ini.
Dengan semangat kepulauan minal iman, mari kita cintai tanah air kita dengan segala atributnya dalam sumpah setia kita yang dicanangkan jauh sebelum kemerdekaan. Berbahasa satu, bahasa Indonesia, bertanah air satu, tanah air Indonesia, berbangsa satu, bangsa Indonesia. Tentu kemudian setelah merdeka, para pemimpin bangsa bermufakat menggunakan rupiah sebagai domestic currency, sebagai uang nasional. Kita bisa masukkan bermata uang satu, yaitu rupiah.
Selaras dengan Darul Ahdi Wasyahadah menuju negeri yang damai dan makmur, mari kita kembali memahami peran rupiah dalam perekonomian. Tidak hanya sebagai alat bertransaksi, namun juga sebagai indikator stabilitas perekonomian dan mengoptimalkan fungsi rupiah sebagai alat penyimpan nilai guna mewujudkan tujuan bersama. Saya Abdul Mukti, Sekretaris Umum Pimpinan Pusat Muhammadiyah. Saya mengajak masyarakat Indonesia untuk cinta, bangga, paham rupiah, dan mendukung edukasi rupiah ini.
Arriving at Kuala Lumpur, we will communicate with him and ask whether we could disseminate his presentation slides. To all participants, please stay a while in the Zoom cloud meetings because after this, there will be announcement of best paper in the parallel session. We will be back in 10 minutes later, so please stay tuned. Thank you. There are 10 themes that will be the best paper of first in on accounting and fraud auditing, and it will be for learning and student affairs at Trilogi University, MHRM MED STCA. To Dr. Leslie.
Thank you very much. The part we did very paper writers, right? The best, how many? 10 paper. Call for paper to this year. National Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing, we get $250,000 rupiah. Anissa Kartika Ardina, pengungkapan intelektual dan risk management terhadap peningkatan kinerja perusahaan. Congratulations to Anissa. Next. Best paper number 9. Rupiah worth. Dinda Asya Arda, pengaruh profitabilitas related party tereksekutif terhadap tax avoidance dimoderasi oleh corporate governance. Next. Price, right? Best paper number 8 word, rupiah. Melia Priscilla Gunawan and Permata Ayu Widyasari. Apakah keputusan investasi CEO dapat mempengaruhi pengindaran pajak? Congratulations. Next, best paper number 7, the 7th best paper goes to Abdul Kafi and Leli Dahlia. Evaluasi penerapan internal control berdasarkan Jobbit Framework pada perusahaan IT software akuntansi, studi kasus pada PT IFCA Property 365 Indonesia. Number 6. Goes to Ivi Evelyn Tanjaya and Diana Friskokoan. Menakar kualitas pelaporan CSR perusahaan rokok di Indonesia. Next, best paper number 5. Go. Nizar Zulkarnain and Dwi Martani. Pengaruh persepsi wajib pajak terhadap pengendaraan pemeriksaan pajak. Best paper number 4. Price going up, 500,000 rupiah. Goes to Gracela Teotama, Yesaya Brian Syahputra. Whistleblowing, dilema dalam tekanan ketaatan dan tindakan balasan. Best paper number 3, 750,000. Goes to Sopian A. Bagas Johantri and Rahma Apri. Defisiensi ekosistem pengadaan barang dan jasa pemerintah untuk mencegah korupsi di Provinsi Papua Barat. Best paper number 2, second best paper, goes to Ayu Oktaviani, Vinola Hernawati, Yohana, Enur Isnaini. Laporan keberlanjutan dan nilai perusahaan perbankan di Indonesia. Best paper number 1. You can say your prayer now. Goes to Ganjar Arif Nurul Inas, Indah Mastri, Trias Casbian Deni, Lydia Salmaida. Analisis pengungkapan CSR berdasarkan dimensi ekonomi, sosial, dan lingkungan terhadap agresivitas pajak pada perusahaan keluarga. This doesn't mean that other papers are not good papers. This is only best tense mean 142 not, and I congratulate all of you for all of the 10 best papers and other 142 papers for achieving being able to be your papers to be presented in our seminars. Thank you, Sasambila.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anis Lastiati, and congratulations for the 10th winner of the best. Okay, for the documentation team, please help us to take a picture together with the winner of the best paper. Okay, for the please turn on your camera because our documentation team will take our photo together. Okay, let me count. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. And we remind to all participants, don't forget to fill out the attendance and survey forms listed on the screen and the Zoom chat in order to get an e-certificate. And furthermore, this e-certificate will be sent by the committee maximum 7 days after today's event. Is in the Zoom. Your photo together. Okay, next, for Melia, please on cam if you are in the Zoom cloud meetings. Next.
Ada lagi nih di balik makanan nih.
Okay, please Abdul Kahfi, turn on your camera if you are in the Zoom cloud meetings. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next. Okay, please Evelyn. If you are in the Zoom cloud meetings, please turn on your camera. Okay, 1. Is Diani is in the Zoom too? Please turn on your camera. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. And next, for best paper 5, to Nizar Zulkarnain and Dwi Martani, please turn on your camera. Okay, next. Next to best paper 4, Gracela Teotama and Yesaya Brian. If you are in the Zoom cloud meetings, please turn on your camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Next. For best paper 3 is Sopian, Bagas, and Rahma in the Zoom. Please turn on your camera. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Next, for best paper 2, for Ayu, Vinola, Yohana, and Nur Isnaini, please turn on your camera. Okay, next for the first best paper, to Ganjar, Indah, Trias, dan Lydia. If you are in the Zoom Cloud meetings, please turn on your camera. Okay. Okay, we remind one more again to all participants, don't forget to fill out the attendance and survey forms listed on the screen and the Zoom chat in order to get an e-certificate. Furthermore, the e-certificate will be sent by the committee maximum 7 days after today's event. Okay, finally, we are at the end of the panel session. Hopefully, all the materials from today's speakers can be useful for all of us. I represent all of the committee of First International and Fourth National Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing. Say thank you to the speakers, reviewers, moderators, call for paper participants, and all of the audience in the Zoom Cloud meetings. Me, as the Master of Ceremony for today, as well as representing the entire committee, apologize if there are errors both technically and verbally. I am Salsabila Almas, and I would like to say thank you and goodbye. See you in the next International and National Conference on Accounting and Fraud Auditing. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.